So this is a legendary game between Paul Morphy and Count Isouard, and in here, Paul Morphy has done a beautiful move that I just had to show in the beginning of the video. So Paul Morphy had done the move knight to b5, which is a brilliant move, and after this, after you take with the pawn, after black take with the pawn, you can take with the bishop, and now the position is very wide open for white to attack. So after the knight gallops in to defend the king, white had done the castling move, so king to c1, and now the thing is you have to help also defend this knight as well. So black had moved his rook on defense, and the thing is, because we're looking as fast as possible, you can actually take with the rook, and after white takes you, after black takes you, can move in with your other rook. This is a masterpiece. You're moving here, this is under attack, and you can later on maybe advance here with the queen and to also checkmate. Maybe, not now of course. And so after this, after rook to d1, the issue is black has to move his queen in order to maybe offer a queen trade. Maybe he'll accept. This is a desperate move. Okay, but he has to make it under these circumstances. White is plus 7.5, which is a lot, especially for games that strong players are playing at. And so after queen to e6, you can take anyway and fork the king and queen. Okay, and after this, after bishop to d7. Black had made a mistake. He had made the move knight to d7, and here there's a mate in 2. And I want you to pause the video and find this mate in 2. So hopefully you've done this, and again, this is a beautiful move. The move is queen to b8. I'll just redo that as well. The move is queen to b8. Queen here. Okay, the knight takes, and after that, it's a mate. Beautiful mate, and the game is over. And so I just had to show this at the beginning of the video. So you probably understand that this video is going to be mostly about tactics, because we've had a lot of tactics here: sacrifice and fork. So as you probably understand, this video is going to be about tactics. And I actually have to say that tactics themselves, once you understand the concept, you need to practice a lot, and then it becomes very easy in the games that you play. Probably most of the people who try to study tactics are doing this by books and many other ways. The easiest way is just go to the platform that you're playing in. Lichess is the best for this, and just do puzzles and do as much of them as you possibly can. That is the easiest way to do tactics. You can also, in most apps, you can specify for a specific tactic that you want to practice if you feel like you need so. And so in this video, you're going to learn how to organize the basic and most important tactics, the fork, for an example. After this video, what you're going to do is you're going to do also a lot of puzzles yourself. And that is going to be a very, very easy way later on to recognize a tactic in-game. So let's start. So first of all, let's start with the fork tactic. And as you have seen previously, the fork tactics is basically when one piece is aiming at two different pieces. In this case, it's the king and the queen. So it's going to be very easy to later on win the queen if you want. Of course, here you can defend, but then there's this, as you've seen previously in the game itself. And so this is the basic idea of the tactic. One piece aiming at two different pieces. Let's now move to the next tactic that we have. So now we have the pin tactic from the game, again from the same game. And the pin tactic is specifically when one of your pieces straight beams at another enemy piece. And specifically, the thing with this is that the piece in front of it cannot move. Okay, the knight, for an example, here cannot move anywhere, because the bishop is aiming at the king. And that is the idea of the pin tactic, is when one piece aims at another piece, for example here the knight, but there is another more important piece behind it, the king. and so this knight cannot move. Okay, it's locked onto the place, and so that's the pin tactic. The third tactic that we have is called a discovered attack. A discovered attack is when one piece, let's say the rook moves first, and now you're having a very powerful attack on this rook. This bishop is aiming at it, okay? Our bishop is aiming at this black rook. However, our knight is blocking it. So if you're moving it away, we are then going to also, of course, we check the king, but then we're also going to reveal an attack on this rook, on a8, and that is a discovered attack. So if you're checking here, after the rook takes, now we can attack here, and that's the idea of the discovered attack. And even after defense, takes, and we end up in a winning position. That's the discovered attack. Let's move to the next example. Now our fourth tactic for this video is called the skewer. A skewer is it's basically the opposite of the pin. It's when a more important piece is in front of you. So let me show you an example. Let's say here, queen moves to d6, and then a skewer would be queen to a5. The more important piece, the king in this position, has to move, okay? He has to move here, somewhere, it doesn't matter even where. Here, for this example, it doesn't matter. Let's say he moves to c6. Skewered would be now the king move, and now you can take this rook. So queen takes on h5. That's the skewer attack. So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice the two more examples for each of them. You're gonna find the solutions, and later on I'm going to tell you how you need to continue to practice tactics. But it's super important to understand, or at least have basic understanding of tactics, especially if you're a beginner, because that is what is going to then improve not just your calculation skills, it's just going to make pattern recognition and blunder preventing ideas a lot easier for you. So let's start. So for our first fork tactic, this is what we have. So black had just done the blunder knight to here, knight to g6, and I want you to discover the tactic that comes after the queen takes. So let's say the queen takes, the king moves, and what are you doing now? And so if you have answered queen to h6, you're right. Actually, the black king, of course, moves away. And now here's the interesting part. After queen to g5, what is the move that you're gonna do? As white, what is the move that you're gonna do after the king moves here, here, and here? What is the fork tactic that there is here? So if you have answered after wherever the king moves, it's all of these moves, you're gonna answer in the same way. You're gonna answer them by queen to h5. All of these moves have the same response, and after this, you're capturing the rook on d1. And so that's the fork tactic in here. Let's now move to another example. So for our next fork tactic, this is the position that we have, and white just done the move rook to d3, okay, which is considered a mistake. And I'm also going to show the best moves here for the ones of you that are interested. And so what I wanted to now do as black, guess the correct move, and again, it's a fork tactic, remember that. So if you've paused the video to guess, the correct move and the only move that is good for you as black in this position is pawn to h2. Pawn to h2. And the idea is, if you're taking here, I'm going to promote to a queen, which he does. He does rook takes to f3, and after that, we promote to a queen, and it's a fork between the king and the rook. Okay, so after king moves, I take. Let's now move to the next tactic that we have. So now moving on, we're going to have two examples of the pin. And now what I want you to do is, of course, understand the tactic, but first of all, white had just done the move queen to f6, which is a blunder because it gives you a mate in 3. And in it there's the pin tactic, and I want you to find this tactic out. And so if you have paused the video to find out this tactic, the tactic actually begins with a sacrifice rook to h1. Rook to h1, the king takes, and now there's a pin between the pawn and the king. So this, so the pawn is not really able to capture anything here. It cannot move, and so that lets you to move your queen to h3, and whatever he does next, the only first move, that's a mate. It's a mate and it's a pin tactic, and thus you also win. Let's now move to the next exercise that we have here. So here we have our next position where white had blundered pawn takes to g6. There's been another pawn there, he just took it. And so here I want you to recognize the pin tactic and note that there is also a fork in this tactic. So what is the move you're supposed to do now that will help you to win something very, very big in return for that? So the move that you're supposed to do is also a fork, and it utilizes the pin that happens here on the king. So the move is bishop to e6. Bishop to e6, because what it does is it threatens to the rook to take, and it threatens the queen here. It's very dangerous. So the only move that you can do is queen takes on e6, and after the queen takes, well, it's a winning position for black. Let's now move to the next example. So here we have our next position, and black has just done the mistake queen to f6. It misses a way to win material. That's why queen to f6 is a mistake. Queen to f6 here is a mistake because in this position it lets you as white win material. Now, I want you to do the discovered attack tactic, find it here, and then also figure out how you, as white, can win more material. So if you have just paused the video to figure this out, you've probably realized that the move you can do is pawn to d6. Now yes, the knight here, it captures the bishop. The knight can capture on b3, but it doesn't matter because you can still move your queen there. Okay, so this is still a check on the king, and whatever he does, let's say king to h8 at this position, you can do knight to f7, aiming at the king and the rook. Usually discovered attack are also coming in various forms and shapes, and a lot of them are very dangerous, like here. So after queen takes, of course you can let him take, but again you're just gonna get another discovered check here. Now let's move to the next example. So here we have our second example for the discovered attack. Here what happens is white has made the miss bishop to f4. And now I want you to discover the discovered attack that lets you win more material. And so if you have paused the video, the discovered attack is pawn to e5. And the reason is you're attacking this bishop and the queen via this bishop at the same time. So after the queen moves, you can take the okay, here he threatened the queen again, but after this you can take. After this you can take the bishop and win more material. Let's now move to the next example. So for the two examples that we have for the skewer, the first one that you're going to look at is king move to a5, and after and what I want you to do is find out the skewer tactic that is going to win you this bishop and this passed pawns are moving here. He's gonna queen in one move. Okay, so find the move that solves this for you. So if you have took a look at this, the only move that is white you can do, the only move, there is no other move, it is rook takes on h8. And after b1 makes a queen, the skewer that there is rook to a8, and you're skewering this king, and the only move that you really can do is king to b6, and you end up winning the queen. Okay, so it's a king for rook, and it's a winning game for white. Let's now move to the other skewer tactic that we have here. So for our next exercise for the skewer, white has done the move king to c4, and as you see, it's already winning for black. And so I want you to find the move that you're supposed to do here as black. It's not yet a skewer. The first thing that's supposed to come into your mind is, how do I defend this pawn here? This pawn here, the most important, so you're doing a4, okay? But then, of course, you're gonna think, okay, but this king is gonna just take. Yes, that's exactly what we want. That's the skewer. So after king to b4, you're doing the move rook to f1. Rook to f1, and if king takes, you're gonna put your rook on a1, and then, well, if moves are defending, if otherwise, let's say king takes, if the king takes, excuse me, you're putting your rook on b1, and that's the skewer. So these have been our examples for the tactics that are the most basic, and most beginner players, they're supposed to just learn them. That's the pattern recognition that you're hearing about in most of the time. Also, just so you know, I'm looking to spread as much as possible this information and videos like this, because when I just started to play chess, I was very much directionless and I had no idea what I was doing. So if you want, you can subscribe and go to learn more. We have a lot of videos in this channel. For an example, recently we have posted a video about how to level up quite fast in chess. If you're a beginner, it's called The Less Spoken Ways to Improve at Chess, and we talked there about, for an example, how to blunder a lot less if you find yourself making one movers. We have, for an example, a video for you there, so you can go and watch it. So what I suggest you now to do is, after we have finished looking at all the puzzles and the tactics that you're supposed to learn, the four main ones, the skewer, pin, discovered attack, and the fork, what I suggest you now to do, go to the platform that you're playing the game, and just change there, do specific puzzles for the tactics that you're looking for. Here, for an example, in chess.com, they've made it very, very simple to specify puzzles for the topic of the puzzle. So I'm pretty sure in most other apps that feature exists as well. So I really suggest you now to just go after this video and to do a lot of these puzzles that are specific for the tactics that we've just studied. That's honestly the easiest way to improve at tactics and pattern recognition, and also even things like calculation and mating patterns. And again, if you want to continue to learn more, just like you did, I suggest that you're just gonna do the puzzles and subscribe if you want to watch more videos, so that you could get more of this content. And yeah, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave them below. I'll just answer them, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.